Okay, so I'm going to begin my videos on GMIS Bali. I promise to finish these videos by Christmas. I might release one or two a month. And the first video is specifically about how I got to Bali and why. So it's 2016, it's near the end of the term, and I get called down to the principal's office. If I'm not wrong, a Thursday afternoon. And he tells me that there's the vacancy open for GMIS Bali manager. Now, I knew Mike Clark, who was the manager in Bali, and he'd unfortunately passed away the week before. But I didn't think I would be involved in any of that. The principal had gone down for the funeral. But the chairman had asked him to speak to me about whether I would be interested. Now, I'd already worked for Jakarta for, at least 17, 18 years. I was part of the furniture, so it wasn't an easy decision. My wife had a company in Jakarta. My daughter was there. I think she'd left GMIS by that time. But something about me said, ooh, this is a chance in a lifetime. Even though I was thoroughly enjoying my work, it was like, well, why wouldn't I? So I met the chairman. We discussed wages, we discussed how this would work. And because I was going to the UK at Christmas and I'd be starting in January, I went over to Bali just before I went to the UK, just to check it out. Now, I knew of GMIS Bali. Of course, it was our sister school, about 4 times as small, so about 500 compared to 2,000. It was run, the principal was, I won't say a friend, but certainly a colleague at GMIS, Miss Jabba. And also there were other teachers that I knew. But the first thing that stood out for me when I came to Bali was, my God, lots of white people. And not just students, teachers. GMS Jakarta was very much Asian. I mean, I was the only Westerner for at least 10 of those 17 years, literally. And there were a few Western kids, but on the whole, it was Asians and Africans. GMS Bali was a completely different ballgame. Yes, there were Balinese, yes, there were Chinese, Indonesian, but there were a lot of Eastern European. There were a lot of Koreans. There were a lot of Europeans, of course. I'm not sure whether we had any Americans, a couple of Aussies. Anyway, the bottom line was it had a different vibe. It was a quarter of the size of GMIS, but pretty much looked the same. It was based in Renon. And my duties would be twofold, I was told. The first one would be the financial side, Bursa, which would be specifically dealing with finances, whether it would be paying the wages, whether it would be buying a bus, which we did at a later stage. And for that, there'd always be 2 signatures, myself and the principal, when it was big money. The second part, of course, was looking after the Indonesian staff, not the teachers. I had nothing to do with the curriculum, and I had nothing to do with the teachers. But of course, GMS had a lot of staff. It had about 15 drivers alone. It had 4 or 5 people who were specifically there to repair things. And of course, lots of admin, whether it's to get teachers' visas, you name it. So that's what it was all about. And the picture you see today is on the thumbnail is me with the staff. Simple as. That's what it was all about. And for my next video, we'll start getting into the nitty-gritty of what would be a life-changing decision. And that life-changing decision was to relocate to Bali GMIS, of which, by the way, during the time that this was a time period, I would become Indonesian. So it was a hugely important, almost 3 years of my life. And this video will trace what happened and of course the day, the big day, and of course the events afterwards. Anyway, it's not a sad story, no tissues, enjoy, and I'll see you in a few weeks on this video.